Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Thursday, April the 5th, and welcome to our video commentary. I'm sure all of you know who Jimmy Kimmel is. He's on CBS, I guess, every night, weeknights, and I don't really watch it. It's not really about Kimmel as much as it is that I just have not watched those programs in a long time. I used to be a fan of Johnny Carson, and one of the reasons that I loved Johnny Carson, I still watch him, by the way. When they do these reruns, I still try to catch him. One of the reasons is because I thought he was so funny. And one of the reasons he was funny was because he was unpredictable. You really didn't know what he was going to say. And also because his political humor went both ways. You know, it wasn't like he was just beating up one person. He kind of went both ways. So when he was cracking a joke about Nixon, well, he cracked jokes about Carter and Reagan and Bush. I mean, it went all over. There wasn't just one, type of jokes directed at one party or the other. Now, Jimmy Kimmel is the exact opposite. Jimmy Kimmel is nothing but it seems like a very predictable machine attacking President Trump. It's one after the other. The guy cannot speak 2 minutes without attacking President Trump. So I kind of gave up on it. I mean, what's the point of watching a show where a guy's taking cheap shots at the President of the United States? It's like the Grammys. I gave up on the Grammys for a long time because it seemed like the Grammys were nothing more than just one attack after another against whoever the Republican president happened to be at that time. So I said, heck, I don't have to watch this. I'll read about the awards the next day, and that was it. Now, a week or so ago, as you know, the White House had this Easter egg hunt. This is something the White House does every year, regardless of who the president is. And what generally happens is that the staff of the people at the White House bring your children to work, and they do an egg hunt, similar, I'm sure, to what many of you do in your backyards or maybe at the churches or whatever. It's a fun thing to do. There's nothing wrong with it. And of course, the First Lady becomes very involved in this, and she's often the one who interacts with the kids and talks about the different presentations and so on. So Jimmy Kimmel this year decided to take a shot at First Lady Melania Trump, and then he was making fun of her accent. And this is where I think he crossed the line with me, and I'm sure with many of you. Look, I don't care what he says about President Trump. President Trump is a big boy. If you're president of the United States, you know that people are going to take a shot at you, and I'm okay with it. As I said, if I don't like what you're saying about President Trump every single night, I'm just not going to watch. I'll do something else. I've got plenty of things to do with my time. I don't have to watch Jimmy Kimmel or anybody else. But when you cross the line and when you attack the First Lady, and in this case, you're attacking her accent. Of course, Mrs. Trump was born in the old Soviet Union, came to the United States as a young woman. Obviously, she has an accent when she speaks, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you take a shot at her accent, when you're making fun of her accent, I think you're going one step over the line, over a line that we've always had, that you don't make fun, you don't abuse, you don't take cheap shots at the president or his family. That's kind of like protected territory. You don't say anything bad about the First Lady or the children. That's, again, a line that most comedians over the years understand and have not crossed. But what I find remarkable about Jimmy Kimmel's performance is how the left, it seems like their hatred of Trump has taken them to a level where they're even willing to betray their own principles. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that if anybody were to say mock an immigrant's accent, for example, or make fun of the way this immigrant spoke English or whatever, the first people who would come after you would be people like Jimmy Kimmel, the liberals. They would come after you and say, hey, that's unfair. You shouldn't be making fun of someone's accent. And you know what? I completely agree with them. I completely agree with that. There's no need to make fun of a person's accent. That's just the way it is, and especially a public figure who may have an accent like, let's say, Madeleine Albright when she was Secretary of State under President Clinton, or obviously maybe the most famous of all, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. No, you don't make fun of the way these people speak. But what I find amazing, going back to what I just said a minute ago, is how the liberals are willing to betray their own principles of tolerance and diversity and so on, They hate Trump so much that they're willing to attack his wife because of the way she speaks or the accent. And I just think that's very sad. It's very sad that we have sunk to that level of political attack. I think that's way over the top when you're saying something like that about the way the First Lady speaks. I just think it's very unfortunate, and I wish a few more liberals would stand up and call out Jimmy Kimmel and say, Jimmy, you went over the line. That's totally, completely unnecessary. Thank you so much for watching. We have all of these videos over on YouTube, on my Twitter, as well as on my blog. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Pretty day here in Dallas, Texas. Looks like we're in spring, and it's just getting started. Bye-bye, everybody.